he called it Linux, and then people quickly integrated Linux with the rest of the GNU part, and then it started as Linux. People started using it. It was open source. It had all the features of Unix, all the advantages, and most of it was open. It was freely available. You could freely install it. You could use it as you like. As such, this open source movement, there's another movement which is called the free software movement. This is about the fact that you should have control over the software you are using. The software which you use is not as a black box. You can study the code, you can study its functionality, you can and then it's more like a community in which you help each other to like suppose you don't have a particular tool which does a particular job, so you can quickly write your own tool for that, and then you can use it, you can share it with others. It's a kind of sharing environment and culture that is more about this open source movement. And the fact that Linux was not very user friendly initially, but now with the coming of projects like Ubuntu, Fedora, you also have CentOS. Maybe you have used in your labs. CentOS. So all these projects. So right now Linux is at a state where it is where it can successfully, you can, whatever task you want to run, you can use it as your regular operating system instead of Windows. So the reason most of you would be using Windows is because it comes pre-installed in your laptops or it comes pre-installed in desktops. Wherever you have encountered a computer, there's a lot of chance that it had Windows in it. It didn't have Linux. So people are mostly unaware of how it works or what are the basic functionalities in that. Like suppose you are coming from a Windows environment and you have like a C drive, the D drive, E drive, and so on. But in Linux, there are various. It's kind of different approach in Linux. So maybe once you start using it, you will realize, as in the hard disk will be referred to as /DEV, Dave/SDA0, SDA1, depending upon the hard disk which you have. And each hard disk will have a consistent numbering in it with various devices. And it also treats every device as if it were a text file. So you can actually read raw data from your hard disk altogether, and then you can manipulate on it if required. But then you do not need to do that in your regular basis. And then another thing is that for a programming point of view, Linux has all the tools installed by default. So if you want to run a small C program or something like that, so in Windows you have to install a lot of tools to do it. But in Linux, everything which you want to use is present there by default. It's present there by default, and you don't need to install any special other things to do it. Of course, if you like to use an IDE, if you use that, you can install it. But the development in Linux is generally possible even without an IDE. You can do it right from a command line. It's more that kind of thing. So, and then one other feature of Linux is that you can use it live. You can just plug in your pen drive, and you can boot from the pen drive, and it will start running the Linux. You will get a desktop. You can use it as you like. And then once you unplug the pen drive, all the traces are gone. But then there's also an option while building a pen drive that they can add some kind of like extra 1 GB or 2 GB of space, which is called persistent storage. So you can store your files in that, and then you can just carry your pen drive. So you can plug it in your CI system here, and then you can boot from it, and then you can use whatever files you have. You can use it here, and then once you remove the pen drive, you do not touch the original piece. You just plug in the pen drive, it runs off your pen drive basically. So that is one way of running Linux. Another way is to use a tool like VirtualBox or VMware, and then use over it in Windows itself. So if you use that approach, the performance is limited because it's an operating system and it's not interacting directly with the system. It's like you are virtualizing it. So there is a kind of like performance impact in that case. And then the third install directly and use it as a dual boot system. So, so in that way you will have to create a free partition. If you have a free partition, it's alright. If you have a configuration which has only one big partition, then there's a two windows called disk manager which you can use to shrink your partition by maybe 50 GB or 100 GB. So 50 GB of space will be enough to run Linux in case. But then 50 GB of space will what you will need for moving. And then today all the familiar tools that you use in Windows are kind of like, there is a substitute for almost all the tools which you use in Windows in Linux. For example, Firefox and Chrome are very well supported as are in Windows, so they run in Linux as well. And for office tools like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, we have a substitute called LibreOffice. So that you have, and you can use that, and it is very compatible with all the file formats. And then for media playing you have VLC. For DC also there is a client, so that's also MATLAB also runs. And then everything like whatever the regular tools you'll be using, you can use it there, and it is free of all the hassles of Windows. Like there is no blue screen, it is virus free in technical terms, and then there's a lot of advantages. Once you start using it, you get more familiar with it, then you will get to know it better. As in, there will be a kind of change, like you will feel that this thing I could do very easily in Windows and I'm not able to do it in Linux. But then once you start using it, you will realize that it is more or less similar. I mean, once you start using it, you get familiar with it, then it will not feel as if it's something very different. It's just like your regular things, and it gets updated very frequently, and there is a lot you can learn, and there's a lot you can get from installing Linux. So we will start, like initially for a start you can boot your systems with the pen drive. You get a BIOS options, and in the BIOS options you go and then you press F2 or F12 whatever, and then you select your pen drive, and then you can start a desktop, and once on a desktop you can see how it runs, and then you can ask us if any doubt.